dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And we're back on Liberty Nation Radio. I remain your host, Mark Angelides, and Jim Fite remains Jim Fite, continuing our conversation on the upcoming Nope Act and what happened with Jimmy Kimmel and ABC. So earlier in the show, we were just talking about, we've gone through how all the FCC regulations and why Brendan Carr, whether he did it right or not, had a responsibility to at least reach out to ABC and probably shouldn't have done it publicly. Now, with all that in mind, let's bring that back to the Nope Act, Jim.
Yeah. So despite all of what we've discussed, the congressional Democrats behind this bill, well, and much of the progressive left, I mean, this is the narrative that's being spun right now, is Jimmy Kimmel was only fired because the Trump administration targeted them, and ABC was like, ooh, and they caved, and because they didn't want that smoke. But anyways, so this act, there's a lot of potential here. Because like I said, we don't have an actual bill already in place. So what we have is a series of sound bites, basically. Reaffirming our Constitution and laws prohibiting the president from weaponizing government against people who disagree with the administration. That sure sounds good. I don't know what it's going to turn out to actually be, though, right? Somehow it's going to neuter the FCC. That's the only thing. I mean, it would have to. I don't know that it actually statutorily could, but well,
the FCC, as we discussed earlier in the show, the rules of the FCC state that somebody should have reached out from the FCC to ABC on what they were doing. So neutering that, I mean, it would make it, if you're new to the FCC, you've got everything then becomes basically cable news, which is not a bad. It is either not a bad thing or it is a bad thing, depending on your position. But what they're essentially talking about is gutting the teeth of an agency, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is, I mean, and it's kind of an odd. It strikes me as an odd position. For the statist party to do.
Very much so. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it.
It's a government. It makes me think of that. It makes me think of that meme with Willem Dafoe as he was playing in the Spider-Man movie. He played the Green Goblin.
I'm something of a statist myself.
Yeah. It was like I'm something of a scientist myself. It was like but right. I knew you'd know the meme. But
absolutely.
So yielded
my meme knowledge.
Right. The DOJ, the FBI, the IRS. All of these agencies cannot be used to silence people for criticizing the government with constitutionally protected speech. And that sounds awesome. The problem is the people, I mean, these are the same people that were behind the IRS targeting conservative outlets, under the previous administration.
Yeah. And the Facebook files, the Twitter papers.
Yep.
That was a direct involvement. Direct requests from the administration, even in the White House, to take down material. But nary a peep, one might say. Nary a peep from the same people who are now saying this. And I wonder, just if here's a deal for them. Here's a deal for them, the people who are putting this together. Do you think they'd take it, Jim? I'll take a yes or no answer. You can have this legislation. It kicks in as soon as there's a Democratic president in office. Do you think they would take that deal?
Not a chance.
So that kind of gives you the idea. Now, the question is, Jim, so this Nope Act, N-O-P Act, isn't that already the First Amendment?
That's the interesting thing, is that that is everything they point out about protecting free speech and the government shouldn't be allowed to persecute you for your speech. You should have the right to disagree with the government. That is the First Amendment. So mechanically, that's the big question. Yeah. Mechanically, what are they going to put in the legislation that changes the status quo? And is that going to somehow better protect that constitutional liberty of free expression? And if only Congress, and I'll say this in a very nonpartisan way, this goes for Republicans and Democrats, but if only Congress were half as good at protecting the Constitution as they are at coming up with clever names.
Oh yeah. That expensive old Affordable Care Act, right?
Yeah.
That's didn't turn out to be so affordable. But yeah, so you've got this situation. It's an add-on to the First Amendment, but really only does what the First Amendment says anyway. And I wonder if it's not a convoluting of the First Amendment, because there are a lot of people who would say, for example, and here's another meme I'll throw one back to you.
Right.
Men with a time machine. They go back and they meet the founding fathers and say, write the Second Amendment like I'm an idiot 5-year-old.
Yep.
You know, so to really clarify things. And it's not, I don't think adding more words to something would necessarily make it any clearer. So you've got the First Amendment, and then you add this on and say, well, it's going to bolster the First Amendment. Is it, or is it just going to confuse things? I do wonder if what's better off is maybe just restating, hey, this is the First Amendment. I mean, the Constitution is a marvel of a document in so many ways.
There's another option too here, is that this is just pure virtue signaling, and it will have no real practical effect.
Oh, you mean like Congress itself? Jim, we're going to keep an eye on this on the pages of libertynation.com. Please do go and check out Jim's writing. Thanks for being here.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.